So good morning and welcome to our Hatha flow. We will be started seating today, so you can get situated on your mat. Have any props that you need nearby, so whether that's blocks or cans or books or toilet paper rolls, whether you have a strap or maybe a tea towel to use, and then also cushions or folded blankets or towels to sit on or to pad your knees. And I will make my way to my mat. So as always, we find a nice tall seat. If you have cushions or something underneath, it's nice to elevate the hips above the knees to get that pelvis in a neutral position. And then your spine can grow nice and long from those roots. As always, we set the intention first and foremost to meet our bodies where they're at, to have this constant conversation with our bodies about what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Now, that doesn't mean that we run away from any discomfort. We start to have this conversation to decide which discomfort leads to growth and which discomfort is pain. So any shooting, sharp pains, any tingling or numbness in the extremities, any grinding or pinching, we don't want that kind of pain. So in those cases, we come out of the pose, we reset, maybe do the one prior to that. So usually we go in steps or come into a comfortable position for the time being. All right, so let's roll the shoulders back and down a few times, up towards the ears and down, up towards the ears and down. Let the hands rest somewhere comfortable and close our eyes. We start to come to our breath. We start to come to our body. Settling in, beginning this conversation on the mat with ourselves. My theme this week started on Sunday, the new moon, where we had a lot of root, seed, and plant analogies. So as we sit here, we'll start to bring those in again, imagining roots growing from the sit bones down into the earth. And now what came up with this root analogy for a lot of people was actually a little bit of fear. The fear of being restrained by these roots or anchored down, stuck in place. The fear of the deep and the dark down in the earth. And so this week we're trying to reframe. First and foremost, starting to recognize these fears and deciding again whether they are things to escape, to run away from, or things to further explore in order to find more growth. These roots that we've grown, can we see them as plant roots? They're flexible. They spread wide and deep, but they draw nourishment up. They are useful. They actually make us feel safe, even in the dark, deep earth. Even though we're digging deep, we know that these roots will actually bring us closer to light. And then from the pelvis up, the plants, the stem of our spine grows tall, powered by the nourishment we're drawing up from the deep. What roots can we grow through our life? What digging deep, and sometimes into scary places, will actually lead to more light, to more growth, to more freedom? We'll explore this in our yoga practice today on the mat. And then we'll go on off the mat and continue to explore. Slowly start to open the eyes. And then if you need to readjust, do so. If those roots feel like they're getting unrooted, what I like to do is draw the flesh away from those sit bones and almost like an electrical plug, feel the sit bones plug into my seat. And then imagine those roots holding me there with soft, supple, flexible energy. And then from there, letting the spine grow. We're going to inhale, reach those arms out to the side, all the way up to the sky. The hands meet in the middle as they come down towards the heart. 2 more of those. Our little initiation practice into our bodies, linking breath and movement. And then we pause with the thumbs at the heart, bow towards ourselves, perhaps set an intention for our own practice, whatever might come to mind. We'll interlace the fingers in front of the chest and just get into those shoulders and that upper back. As we exhale, press the palms out in front. As we inhale, just draw those shoulders back and down. Exhale, round through as much of the spine as you can, and then come back to a tall seat. Beautiful. One more time. Nice. Now draw those arms up overhead, release the hands, and then stretch up, even framing those ears. Do what I always say not to do, but shrug those shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale, let them fall down. Inhale, reach, and exhale, let them fall. Reach and fall. One more time. Now this time, keep them on the back. Imagine them lifting the heart up from behind. Arms are out in a bit of a V, so that we have lots of space between the shoulder tips and the ears. And now think about those roots again. Perhaps your legs have started drying up. See if you can root down through those sit bones again and let gravity draw the knees down. Relax through the inner thighs, relax through the hips. And feel rooted, feel grounded from the hips down. Feel tall from the pelvis up. Now from this stable seat, We're going to bring a little movement into the arms, bringing the arms out to the side, palms facing up. Plug the arm bones into the shoulder sockets, and then start to make some circles with the arms. Just little ones. Just note the direction you've chosen to go, because we will get both directions in. Slowly start to make those circles bigger. And even bigger in diameter. Exploring the range of motion of that shoulder joint, exploring the strength and the stamina. And we keep reminding our lower body to be what holds us in place. Bigger circles. Keep breathing. One more in this direction with the biggest circle you can make, and then start in the opposite direction. Still those big circles. Opening up the chest as the arms come back behind us, and the back as they come forward. You may feel some cricks and cracks. I hear my own cricks and cracks. Start to make the circles a little smaller. Feeling a little bit of fatigue starting. Embracing that. And then smaller still. Keep breathing. Keep integrating those arms into the body, moving from the very root of the arm. Smaller still. And then you've got those little circles again. See if you can slow it down a little. We all start to speed up. As you can see, I did too. Trying to race through it. And now let's come to stillness. Keep those arms out to the sides. I know they want to come down 4 times on each side. We're going to internally rotate one arm and externally rotate the other. And then the other way. So 3 more. 3. 2 more. 2. And 1 more on each side. Nice. Inhale, reach those arms all the way up. And exhale, bring the fingertips behind you. Lean back into those fingertips. Let that sunflower heart open to the sun. Nice. And we'll slowly come over onto hands and knees, moving any props out of the way. Bringing the hands under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. As we shift our roots now, in a lot of our yoga poses, our roots are our hands as well. So feel little tiny roots coming out of every single fingertip and every single base of the finger, so the knuckles. And then from the knees to the tops of the feet. And we start to inhale into our cow pose and exhale into cat. 4 more rounds of breath here. Finding the spine, starting to introduce more movement between every vertebra. Into the hips, the shoulders, the head and the neck as well. And then come back to neutral. Nice, curl the toes under. Let's get into the front body a little, strengthen up that core. Bring the knees 2 to 3 inches off the floor, draw that belly button up. And now our fingers and knuckles still have those roots, but now our toes are also our roots. Maybe that pinky toe isn't quite rooted, but if you've got really good flexible feet, maybe it can be. So ground into those roots and let the plant this time sprout out through the lower back as you draw that belly button up and in. Then we hold it here for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. And now back to a downward facing dog, extending through those legs, extending through those arms, drawing those hips back and up. First down dog of the day, maybe. So you can wiggle it out, do whatever you need to. And we're coming back into that knees hovering off the ground pose. You can hold it here again for 4, or for 4 with me. We exhale and draw those hips back into a rocket. So knees stay bent. And inhale, come forward. 3, 2, and 1. Extend those legs again, downward dog. Walk it out. Nice work. Slowly start to walk the feet up towards the hands. And now we've got the entire foot rooted. Bend the knees as much as you need to in this first forward fold, and of course in any forward folds that are to come. And let the head and neck drop. Let the arms circle a little bit here. Let the head and neck shake, yes and no. And then feeling those roots in the base of every single toe, especially in the heel, we slowly make our way all the way up to standing. Beautiful. Roll the shoulders back and down. Stand here in Tadasana for a moment, feeling tall, feeling the energy drawing you down to the earth, but also feeding up the body to bring you strength and length and sun and lightness. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips, bending the knees as much as needed. 2 more of those. Inhale all the way up. And exhale all the way down. Saying good morning to the hips and the hamstrings and a bit of that low back. And all the way down, fold forward. Hands to shins or thighs for Ardha Uttanasana, pressing up and lengthening, exhaling, fold. 2 more of those. Just working your way into these folding movements, being gentle and patient with the body. Beautiful. Hand, fingertips to the earth. And we're going to step back with that right leg and bring the right knee to the earth right away. So if you need padding under that right knee, go for it. If you need anything underneath your fingertips to bring the floor a little bit closer to you, also a good idea, because we're going to flow back into this half splits pose, hips over that back knee, and the left toes pull towards the face. And we exhale, lunge those hips forward. So just use this movement to get into those hip joints, the knee joint, and definitely that front hamstring. Let's inhale back and exhale forward. 3 more of those. Again, noticing the cricks and the cracks. Last time. Now come back into that half splits pose, Ardha Hanuman. Draw that left leg towards you like you're plugging the left leg into the left hip socket and drawing that heel towards you. Get long through the body, and maybe you can walk yourself a little further forward, releasing the head and the neck. Nice. And now lunge forward again into that front foot. Make sure that back knee is as far back as it can be so that the hips can stay square, but you're feeling a nice stretch through that right hip flexor too. You may stay here, you may press yourself up into a low lunge. Feel the roots connected to the earth. Draw the legs towards each other and bring that pelvis a little further forward by bending that front knee more. You might stay here, hands might come to the heart, or arms might reach up to the sky. As you stay here for 3, for 2, and 1. And then hands come down. We pick up that back knee and step back into a plank position, whatever plank is to you. So hands and feet, elbows and knees, or anything in between. We feel those roots again. As we move, as we open, we actually can feel as if we can root even more. Do you notice your toes, your feet starting to open and warm up? Do you notice being able to access the strength in your hands a little bit more? Draw everything from the earth into the midline for 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, bend the elbows out behind you, come all the way down to the earth. Flip the feet over. Keep the hands on the earth, either underneath the armpits or beside the ribs. Draw those elbows together, roll the shoulders back and down, and lift the head and the heart off the floor. Here our roots have shifted again. They're in the hands, they're the bottom of the ribs, through the abdomen, the pubic bone, tops of the thighs, and tops of the feet. All of those are on the earth. You could stay here or perhaps make it active. Start to draw the heels of the hands towards you as you pull your heart further forward, tractioning the spine, getting some heat in that back chain of the muscles. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then all the way down. Curl the toes under and come back into your downward dog, your puppy pose, or your child's pose. Whatever you need for recovery here. Nice. And then right foot is going to step between the hands, however it gets there. Might be 1 step, 2, or many. Bring that left knee down, maybe on a cushion or a blanket. And we get ready for our flow, our hamstring flow on this side. As we inhale, we draw those hips back, pull the right toes towards you. As we exhale, we lunge forward. So we notice the cricks and the cracks, the tension that we're slowly working into, the differences between the sides. And then we've got 1 more. And let's come back into that Ardha Hanuman. We draw the right heel towards us, intensifying that stretch in the back line of the leg. We get long through the body and maybe fold a little deeper over that leg, releasing the head and the neck. Nice. Good morning, good afternoon, right hamstring. Let's bend into that right knee again, coming into a low lunge. Walk that left knee back as far as it'll go without opening the hips too much to the left. We want to keep those hip bones facing in the same direction, and then perhaps you press yourself up into a low lunge. You draw the legs towards each other, and then keeping that energy between the legs, we lunge a little further into that right knee. Nice. Hands stay here, maybe at the heart, maybe reaching all the way up to the sky. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then hands come all the way down. Pick up that back knee. This time step it forward into a forward fold. And release here. We're going to bend the knees nice and deep. Sit those sit bones all the way back. Lots of weight in the heels. Connect to the roots of your feet again. Make sure the feet are parallel. And now the body's going to come parallel to the floor. And those arms can just hang. So you're like ready to sit down on the couch behind you, but just hanging here suspended. Arms can come back behind you like wings. Roll the shoulders back, palms up to the sky. Ready to ski down a hill here. And then for the last 2 breaths, if you want, arms can come out in front of you, ready to dive off the edge. For 2, for 1. And come all the way up. Feel the strength from those feet. Feet up through the legs. Exhale, fold. Nice work. Look up halfway, lengthen. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fingertips to the earth. Left leg steps back behind you this time. Always an option to bring that left knee to the earth, or we can stay in this higher lunge this time. Square those hips off by drawing the legs towards each other, and then bend that front knee away from that resistance so that the knee comes on top of the ankle, not beyond. We power up that back leg, and just like we did in our Utkatasana, in our chair pose, we're going to draw that belly button off the front thigh, let the arms dangle here. Maybe you stay there, maybe you bring the arms back behind you like wings. So a nice long line from the head to the heel. And for the last 2 breaths, we can even reach forward again. Nice long line from fingertips to that back heel. Keep bending the front knee, keep powering up that back leg. And you can keep the hands here or bring them to the thigh or the heart and come all the way up into your high lunge. Feeling different here. Feeling that stretch through the left hip flexor, the strength through that front leg. For 2, for 1. And release the hands down. Step back to your plank pose. Reset here, everything drawing into the midline. And then either knees up or knees down, bend the elbows behind you, come all the way to the earth. Flip the feet over. Hands stay by the ribs or under the armpits. We come into baby cobra again, drawing the heart up and away. If you'd like, you could start to put a little more pressure into the hands, but keep the heels of the hands drawing back. Keep that heart bursting forward as you come up a little bit more into a cobra pose. Your cobra pose. Collarbones stay wide. Head and neck stay mobile and long. And all the way down. Downward dog, puppy, or child's. Now left foot comes forward between the hands. 1, 2, or many steps. And we come into our runner's lunge again. We draw those legs towards each other and then bend that left knee away from that resistance. So we've got that strength, that grounding, that integrity through the hips. And then we draw the belly button off the leg and let those arms hang. Test yourself here. Strengthen up that back leg, bend through that front knee. All four corners of that front foot are working. Maybe the arms come back behind you like wings. Maybe for the last two breaths, they reach forward. Long line from fingertips to heel. And now staying here or bringing the hands to the thigh or the heart, we tip the body up for a high lunge. Keeping that back leg strong and straight, pressing behind us. Keeping that front knee bending for 2, for 1. And then fingertips to the earth. Step forward to your forward fold and melt. Bend the knees nice and deep again. Sit back onto your couch without having the couch there. And you can choose your hand position this time. You can bring them to the heart or out in front and slowly start to tip the body up into your chair pose, Utkatasana. There's a long line from the head to the tail, and the core is acting to stabilize that lower back as you're drawing the ribs down and activating that lower abdomen. For 3, for 2, for 1. Come all the way up. Nice work. Exhale, fold forward, forward fold. Look up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, step that right leg back behind you. Spin the right heel down. Come on up into warrior 2. Draw those legs towards each other, plant into both feet equally, and then bend that left knee away from that anchoring of the right foot. We're gonna shift a little forward and shift a little backwards, trying to find center with the body. So just notice what it feels to lean forward. Notice what it feels like to reach back. And then find that dead center of your warrior 2. Strengthen up that back leg. Bend that front knee. Gaze to the front. Nice and strong. Let's inhale, straighten both legs. Keep a little micro bend in that front left knee. And again, we're going to shift forward a little with our torso and back. Keep those roots in the feet. Shift forward and back. Next time you're shifting forward, keep reaching forward. Bring the right hand to the waist. Reach, reach, reach. Keep both sides of that waist nice and long, and then that bottom hand can come to the bottom leg or a prop or the earth. That left hip wraps underneath to open the body to the side. And maybe the right arm reaches up to the sky, Trikonasana. Nice work. Keep pressing the hips back and lengthening the body forward. Inhale, come all the way up. And this time, right hand comes down to the right leg, and we reach up and over for an exalted triangle. And release the hands down, spin on those back toes, and step back to your plank. This time we're gonna come down onto our elbows in plank. Forearms are parallel, palms on the earth. And we're just going to twist it out for 6 times. So we bring those hips to the right and the left. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center, come onto the tops of the feet and let the hips come down into Sphinx pose. Now in Sphinx, elbows can be right under the shoulders or a little bit ahead. Notice that your roots will change. The more ahead they are, the more of the abdomen's on the earth. The closer in towards the body they are, the ribs start to lift off the ground. The belly button lifts off the ground. And we're going to do the same thing in Sphinx here as we were doing in our Bhujangasana Cobra. So we start to draw the elbows and the forearms and the hands towards us, towards the foot end of our mat as our heart draws forward. Imagine those roots. They're keeping us in place. And we're tractioning the spine up and away, up and away, up and away. For 3, 2, 1. Release all the way down. Shake it out and downward dog, child's or puppy. Nice. So the right foot is going to step between the hands and the left heel is going to spin down. When we come up into Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2 on the right. We draw those legs towards each other. We plant our roots. And then from those roots, we can adjust into the pose. We reach forward and back and forward and back, experimenting with the movement of the upper body. And then after that last one, find center. Strengthen that back leg, bend the front knee, and gaze to the front. Hold it here. Drawing that right hip under you, feeding up from the feet all the way up through both legs, meeting at the middle and letting that energy make you taller, stronger. And now inhale, extend both legs, keep that micro bend in that right knee, start to reach forward and back here with triangle legs. Very stable base. Next time you're reaching forward, keep reaching forward. Bring the left hand to the waist and reach, reach, reach. Hips shift backwards. Torso reaches forward. Right hand comes down towards the leg, a prop or the earth. We scoop that right hip under us as we open the body to the side and maybe reach the left arm up to the sky. Trikonasana, triangle pose to the right. Maybe you look up to the top hand. And then inhale all the way up. Left hand comes down the left leg. Right arm reaches up and over. Exalted triangle. And then release both hands all the way down, spin to the top, back toes, and step forward, forward fold. This is the last Utkatasana chair pose we'll do. Bend the knees nice and deep. Choose your arm position either at the heart, out front, or all the way up. And the more you bend and root into the earth, the more you reach from the pelvis up. For 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Inhale, come all the way up and release the hands down. Tadasana, mountain pose. Pause here for a moment. Feel the changes through the body, the changes through your rooting. And then open the eyes. So for these next poses, you may or may not need something to prop your hands up on. If you don't have props, it's all good too, because the other trick, we're going to be doing some standing split work in a forward fold. So you're either here, or if that is too much for the back, you could always do it from kind of a half downward dog as well, just distancing the hands from the feet. Otherwise, you could use blocks or props underneath those hands. So let's stand tall. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips as you fold forward and find your place. Hands on blocks, hands on the earth, and you decide on the distance from your feet. We're going to plant down through that left foot, and as if we're sucking the right leg up into the hip joint, we're just going to lift that right foot off the earth. It's still parallel, it's still right next to that left, but we feel that grounding through the left leg and the work required here in the right. From that place, lift that heel up behind you. Take a look, make sure the toes are pointed towards the earth of that right leg. Nice work. Lift it up a little higher, but don't externally rotate that hip. Keep the toes pointed down. You may bend the elbows a little bit. You may come closer to that left leg. And then 4 times, we're going to bend both knees, nestle the right knee behind the left, and inhale, reach it up. 3 more. 2 more. And last one. I know. Reach it up, reach it up. This time you can let that hip open if you need to. Keep reaching it. Maybe you dive even deeper towards that left leg. And then return the right foot to the earth. Give the knees a bend. Press yourself up halfway, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Hands set again for the second side. Let's suck that right leg or left leg up into the hip socket. So it's just hovering above the floor beside the right foot. And then we lift that heel out behind us. Take a look at the toes. Make sure they're pointed towards the earth. Release the head and the neck. Draw it up a little bit higher. Keep those hips facing down. Keep that right foot rooted. Maybe you bend the elbows a little bit. And now, nestle the left knee behind the right, bend both, and reach it out. Tuck and reach. 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. Reach it out. Now open that hip a little bit. Get even taller. Bend even deeper. And release that left foot down. Bend the knees. Come all the way up to standing. Reach tall. And reset in Tadasana, mountain pose. Hands at the heart or at the sides. Unfortunately, it's not over. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, or fortunately, what are you ready to dig deeper into? Let's pick that right foot off the floor, but keep it hovering. Activate that right leg from foot to hip, and then reach it out behind you. Bring it deep, higher and higher, maybe even this time coming closer to that left leg, maybe even taking one hand on the left leg, maybe even experimenting with both. Beautiful. And now bring the hands back to the earth or to your props, keeping the right leg up there. Maybe for the last 2-3 breaths, we can lift that left heel up off the floor. Feel the roots in the toes. Lift, lift, lift for 2 and 1. And release all the way down. Bend the knees, look up halfway, lengthen. And fold. Last leg of this journey. Plant the hands. If the low back is hurting, it might mean you need more height with those blocks, or if there's no blocks or props, you might need more distance from those hands. Let's lift, suck that left leg into the hip. Feel that activation from toes to hip joint. And then inhale, bring that leg up behind you. This time you might get closer to that right leg, diving deeper, curling into it, maybe experimenting with one hand, maybe both. And then release the hands to the earth or to the blocks again for the last 3 breaths. Come up on those right toes, lift the heel off the ground, reach that left leg up for 2, for 1, and release down. Beautiful work. Bend the knees, come all the way up to standing, reach tall, and reset into Tadasana, mountain pose. Amazing work. We're gonna move the blocks off the mat, but keep them close by. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway, lengthen. Plant the hands on the earth and step back into a child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. Let the head rest on something. So one more thing before we try our full splits. Yeah, that's right. Our full splits. Again. We're going to get into the hip and the hip flexor a little more by coming into pigeon. So slowly bring yourself up to hands and knees or to down dog. And we'll start with the right knee coming towards that right wrist. The right leg crossing across the mat. Left leg walks back as far as it can. We root down from the pelvis down, and then we draw a little bit of that energy into the center to draw the legs together. So you come out of the pose a little to lengthen through the body. And then from that length, you can release those back toes and start to fold forward, maybe onto a prop, maybe onto the earth. And hopefully you can release the head and the neck. If the head can rest on something, even better. Now here, we'll just work on softening can shift a little bit side to side, find center, find the juiciest pose you can, and release. And then slowly make your way back up. Extract yourself from that pose and come to the other side. Left knee by the left wrist, left leg crosses the mat, right leg walks back, 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 back. We draw the legs in towards each other as we come up onto the fingertips. We square the hips off, release those back toes, and from that length, start to fold forward. Onto elbows or all the way to the earth, releasing the head and neck, maybe onto a prop. We shift a little side to side and find center. Find that place where the sacrum is parallel to the earth like a plate. You could balance some wine glasses on the back of the pelvis there. And we soften. Let those layers melt away. And then slowly press yourself up. Curl those back toes under, extract yourself from the pose. Now we're going to step the right foot between the hands again. Bring the back knee down to a cushion or the earth. This time I definitely, if you have any props to bring the floor closer, they do really help. As we shift the hips back into Ardha Hanuman, maybe you stay there. Drawing that right heel towards you, folding over that right leg. If you'd like to keep going, you start to walk or shimmy that right foot forward on your mat. Walking your hands to where it's comfortable, you could start to shift that back knee back. And then you bring a little bit of muscle action between the legs again. So drawing them towards each other, and then see if you can find softness. So the blocks help us to get that body upright. And the reason we'd want to do this is if we're leaning forward too much, we're getting a lot more in that front leg and not as much in that back leg. As we bring the body up, like we see in a high lunge, we start to stretch out that back leg too. And for splits to happen, both need to be stretchy. The hamstring, the back chain of that front leg, and the hip flexor, the front chain of that back leg. And then we trust. So if you have props, you could always put them under the legs as well for some extra security and support. However, the ones underneath the hands give you enough of that safety that you can keep yourself up and slowly control how much gravity is drawing you down, helping you down. You can release those back toes eventually. Keep the core strong, keep the collarbones wide. One more deep breath here, you're doing great. And then pressing into the hands, we can help those legs back together. Do whatever you need to between legs, so some wiggles, a down dog. And then we're gonna bring that left leg forward, right knee to the earth. I come up onto my props as needed. I shift my hips back and lift the left toes up towards my face. Maybe Ardha Hanuman here. Maybe you fold. And then maybe that left foot starts to shimmy forward. I stay on my back toes for a little while as I get that muscle energy to keep me safe, to keep me facing in the right direction. I walk that back knee back, I shimmy that left foot forward, and then I find a place. I can release the back toes eventually, and I keep on grounding into that front heel. I keep grounding into that back knee. And every inhalation, it's almost as if I draw the legs together a little bit. Every exhalation, I give over slightly to gravity and relax. Inhalation, muscle action. Exhalation, letting go. Nice job, I know. See if you can release the grit of your teeth. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Relax the eyes, the eyebrows. And let the breath keep flowing. One more, nice deep breath. And slowly press into the hands. Let those knees come back towards each other and come back into a child's pose again. Knees apart, toes together. Let go. Slowly press yourself up. Make your way onto your sit bones so that you can curl down towards the earth on your back. Once you get to your back, reset your body. Allow it to settle in to this new orientation. Feet can come out to the sides of the mat and knees can fall in towards each other, holding each other up. The pelvis soften. Let the spine readjust. Walk the feet back in towards each other. Hug the knees in and rock on your low back. Keep the right knee in, stretch the left leg out along your mat. And then take the right knee in the left hand and do a twist here. Drawing that right knee towards the left, keeping the right shoulder on the earth. Back to center. Draw that left knee in, stretch the right leg out. Take the left knee in the right hand and start to cross it over, keeping the left shoulder on the earth. And back to center. Bring both knees in, give yourself another hug here. Bring the feet up to the sky, happy baby pose. Drawing those feet down towards the earth, either by holding on to the shins or ankles or outer edges of the feet. You might rock a little side to side. And then slowly release the legs. We can start to walk them out along the mat or choose any final relaxation, any shavasana that calls to you. Anywhere you feel safe, rooted but free to breathe. Close your eyes and come back to stillness. Come back to your breath. Come back to your body, to the senses. And here, we imagine a lotus flower. A lotus flower that's not afraid to dig its roots into the dark, ugly mud, into swampy waters, because it knows that by digging deep, it nourishes itself and blossoms out as this intricately beautiful flower of lightness, serenity. Where can you dig deep and flourish because of it? Before you leave today, make sure that you thank yourself for maybe going places you wouldn't usually go, for embracing those roots so that you may find more freedom in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. I thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.